Thank you for joining Beyond the Hop. Enjoy the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe. Ladies first. Yolanda, what are your thoughts about this Ebony K Williams
Okay.
situation?
So let's just put into context who she is and her background, right? So she's an attorney. She co hosts a talk show. She's co hosted talk shows on radio. She's current host a talk show on television, right? She's very well known. I would assume, giving her background, I could be wrong, that she is financially well off. I would assume that. I
That's
don't
safe
know
to
that to be
assume.
the case, but
I think it's safe.
okay. So she, and again, I don't know her. The whole context, I think, of the interview was about femininity, right? And womanhood and all this other stuff. And she was asked, would she date a bus driver? She said, if he owned the bus. Now, the only way, my humble opinion, the only way that two people can coexist, not saying that you have to be one the same or opposites attract, but you have to be able to meet on some level. There has to be some commonality, right? Either in thought or perspective, spiritual, like there has to be some commonality. She is an entrepreneur. So her mindset is that of an entrepreneur, I would assume, from what I've read. So it's expected that she would feel like she's more compatible, not necessarily in from a money perspective, from a financial perspective, but more so from a thought perspective, right? Because she is an attorney. She
Right.
hosts a talk show that deals with culture. She's a thinker. She is a person who uses her mind to create opportunities, to create wealth, right? So it's only it's only fair to assume that she would want somebody who she feels like could connect with her on that level.
Right.
I don't know any bus drivers. Like I don't know any. So I don't know how they think or how they process, but just from one would assume that a person is driving a bus because not because that's what they truly love or enjoy. Let's just be real. Nobody is I don't know anybody in my life, nor have I ever come across anyone who said, man, my lifelong dream is to be a bus driver. Like I just want to drive the bus. Not saying that that's not possible. I've never met anyone with that aspiration. So when we talk about careers and things like that, and I know things have changed, you look at somebody who is an attorney and you look at somebody that's something that you strive for, that's something that you work for, that's something that you go to school for, that's something that's typically a childhood aspiration. Most people who are attorneys have wanted to be an attorney since they came out the womb, right? When you think about the occupation of a person who drives a bus, and before this, I'm not saying it makes you a better person, but we're talking about the occupation, the function, right, of these two occupations. It's safe to assume that you don't really need a whole lot of aspiration to be a bus driver. It's only fair that she would want somebody who she perceives she can connect with on an intellectual level.
Right.
That's not to say that somebody driving a bus is not a person of high intellect or of great intellect. But it's just assumed that you don't really have a whole lot of ambition. That may or may not be the case. You may be driving a bus just in between engineering roles or in between, I got let go from the hospital. I was a neurosurgeon. That's all I could find.
Right.
I'm just trying to pay the bill. So we don't know. But just the way that people have framed it, and even what Iyanla's response was, I don't think that that was a fair response because you don't get to tell a person what what to want or what to desire. That's not our call. That's not my call to say
Right.
what kind of woman you should want, Q. That's not my call to say what kind of woman you should want, Corey. When I heard it, my first thought was, okay, I know what your occupation is, Quincy. I know what your background is. Would you marry a stripper? I mean, she make good money. She don't want to own the club. She just like stripping. It's fulfilling to her. She's a woman of great integrity. She just happens to love to dance. And that's the kind of dances she wants to do. She's a good mom. She go to church on Sundays when she, on call.
He said, me and Q, we was talking about it, and we said something similar, but a different scenario. Because, like, I'm not rich, but it's a certain type of woman I'm not going to date. It's just a certain type. But that's a great example because we feel like where we are in life, like, we may not be rich, but we have passed that stage, So even at our level, there are certain women we wouldn't date. And it's your personal preference.
Right.
Why is this so bad for a woman? And then they talk about dating options for a Black woman. I don't feel like my dating options are slim. I pick who I want.
Correct.
But that's just me.
People are afraid, is what I think. More people have this clock ticking, whereas you've had certain experiences that other people may not have had, right? So that's what I see it. It's like this clock ticking, and maybe they haven't had certain experiences, and they thinking, I got to get this experience out the way. If I don't hurry up and do this, I'm going to miss out on this experience. I see that as a lot of the reasons why people are doing what they're doing. But Corey, before I even got into what I thought about the video, Corey, what was your thought on what the video had to say?
I don't want to say nobody because it's like, it's not the actual circumstance, but it's your mindset. Is it your weather right now, or is this going to be your future? Because I feel like every day I'm trying to achieve something. So I need you to be on the same tier as me, or willing to grow. Even being on like something like that, we all have choices. We can choose to be or to stay in that situation, or we can choose to grow.
All right.
But we all have a choice to make. As far as your current weather, that's not really indicative of who you are.
Right.
I think a woman gets to decide. I'm not trying to placate or anything like that. I think a person gets to decide. If she's setting a threshold or a criteria for what she desires in life, who am I to begrudge her of that? That's the same thing you were saying, Yolanda. It's like we get to decide what we want. To decide that you want a man that's ambitious, that's willing to do what's necessary to make it happen. Besides, I don't want to say a bus driver is settling, but I feel like you guys, I mean, there's so much more to accomplish in life than just, being a bus driver. And I know it's a noble profession, right? We can't get along without our bus drivers. Nobody's saying anything about that, but I don't want anybody to have anything to say about my ambition. You understand what I'm saying? So I get to be as ambitious as I want to be. So she gets to desire certain things in the mate that she's going to submit to. Right. If you heard what she said, she has a fear of letting go of everything that she has had to do to build the life that she's accustomed to, right? So there's a fear of just entrusting a man to be able to maintain and sustain that and her to be free of worry. It's going to take a certain kind of man to give her that level of comfort.
Right.
So, and she it sounds like she just hadn't met him to me.
Exactly.
Right. So
I hear, we hear all this rhetoric, and I wish that there was some kind of criteria that you had to meet to be able to host a podcast. It's so much rhetoric about you women don't date a woman that's ambitious. Don't date a woman that don't want a job. Don't date a woman. Don't date this kind of man. It's so crazy to me. And women who are ambitious, women who are accomplished, like myself, we get a bad rap that we won't submit. Yeah, we will submit. We know what good leadership looks like. We know what good leadership looks like. We know what it doesn't look like. And we have no problem submitting to good leadership. It wouldn't even be an ask. It's something that is just, it's automatic. It's automatic. It's like when you're on your job. You know, when you have a strong leader, a strong manager, a strong boss, you have no problem submitting to that leadership. But you know full well when you got a whole fool with a title that's a manager that don't know how to lead you out of a brown paper bag, you gonna, even you as men, y'all not gonna submit to that.
Right.
So it's no different with women. It is the men who, if you want to take a woman and you want us to live off of your income, you don't want me to work. You don't want me to, you want me to stay home, take care of the house, be there when you get there. Okay, cool. But if I've worked all this time and I built a certain lifestyle, you either got to meet me at that lifestyle or bring or ascend beyond that. But you can't take me from a mansion and then want me to come and sit in a 1-bedroom apartment just because you're in.
Let's say, for example, I mean, I don't know a critique a man would have about your hair, but let's say, for example, a man wanted you to be natural, and he'd say to you, Yolanda, you know what? I'd like you to try natural. I got whatever you need to go through this process, but I got what it takes to help you become natural and want to make you feel comfortable doing this. But I'd rather you do this for me. I mean, that's a simple ask to me, especially if that man taking care. Yeah, if he's taking care of you.
It is a very simple ask. My response would probably be like, do you how much do you really love me? Like, do you really care about me? Do you care about my well-being? Do you care about my self-esteem, me, feeling good about myself? And if the answer is yes, and you're sincere, I can't do natural. Natural hair don't look good on me. I don't feel my best when I have natural hair.
Yeah, that'd be something to have a conversation about.
So if me wearing my hair natural only makes you happy but not me, do you really care about me?
You would think you would take that personal as a challenge to who you are as a person. That's the way you would see that almost as a personal attack, huh?
I see things like that, like this. If I care about you,
right.
If I love you, I want you to be at your absolute best. What your absolute best is for you. So if wearing that beanie is cool with you, and I love you and I care about you, then I'm gonna be okay with the beanie. But if the beanie is unattractive to me and it turns me off and it is a problem, then we need to have a different conversation.
I hear you. I mean, a man needs to find a
that
woman a man's gonna find a woman that will
likes
be a natural, right? Versus
don't
trying to get you.
I like my perm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
I always feel like you shouldn't deviate from what your personal standard is.
Yeah.
Don't deviate from it. Because sometimes, people let their condition dictate their behavior. Mm-hmm. So you can't really deviate from what your personal standards are. So
because this how you met me. You met me with this perm.
Exactly. Right.
We dated all these months with this perm, and it was fun.
I'm attracted to the perm and straight hair. I already know what I'm coming into this situation with.
I'm telling you, natural ain't what you want on me.
Not be trying to change the person. They are who they are.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fair. I think that's what we deal with a lot, man. People are trying to change people. To your point, Corey. I mean, instead of just really accepting people for who they are. I mean, Yolanda, I like the answer. I mean, I wanted to push back because I have had conversations with friends that are mandating certain things, right? And I agree with you. I mean, you gotta meet people where they are, just like you want to be met where you are. But you also have to have certain things in common. So I get that. We all have lists. We all have things that are absolutely matter to us. Mm-hmm. So yeah, having a certain mindset, I think, is what we're all saying, that we expect a person to have a certain mindset if we're going to entertain a serious relationship with them. So that's fair.
Because people let their future be held hostage based on their past. I had a friend to tell me the other day. She was basically talking about dating or whatever, similar situations. And she said when you look at your partner or whatever, like you got to take them for face value and understand, like, no, you can't change the person. So can I deal with this person if nothing ever changes?
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Can I live with this person if nothing ever changes? So we can't base everything off potential.
Right.
We have to base it off patterns. Like, what is this person's patterns? How are they trying to, better themselves? How are they trying to grow? So I was like, oh yeah, that's really something to think about. So
You know what? And when you saying that, and I'm sitting and I'm thinking, it's when you hear all this talk, right? You hear all this talk. A lot of it's coming from people with mama wounds, daddy wounds, unhealed
right.
trauma, and all this kind of stuff, and they're just projecting. But when you think about it, if you meet somebody and you are attracted to them, but like you said,
That's
you
going to be initially the initial
that's the
physical
initial
attraction.
attraction, right? That's always the first attraction is initial. It just is. So I think that's where the problem comes in is that I'm attracted to you physically, but I may like the qualities of somebody else who doesn't look like you.
Then you
And
don't
so
like me.
exactly. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm trying to change you to be like this person on the
That's the
maybe on the
potential I was
inside.
talking about.
Right,
We get into
exactly.
potential instead of the person patterns.
Right.
Right
Right.
now,
Right.
like you
You
said,
don't
right
like,
now,
yeah, you
if
don't like
nothing
me.
changes, right
Right.
What
now,
if the
if
person
nothing
never
changes,
changes? Can I deal with this person?
And I know
Like where they are.
I know people that are with people that they don't like.
I do
So,
too.
but you got to be able to like the person. You got to be able to like them, and you got to be able to be okay with who they are and where they are.
Yeah.
But now here's the thing: your situation is not necessarily where you are. That may just be a situation. It's really a mindset. And that's to
Correct.
get back to the point, like, where are you going mentally? Where are you building yourself up? Like you were saying, Corey, are you somebody that's looking to be the best version of yourself every day? Are you pushing
Because that's
yourself
what I'm
like that?
trying to do.
Right.
Right,
So you have to have that energy matched.
exactly.
Yeah. You're right.
Because while you're trying to, what happens is people get with somebody who is super ambitious, super driven, has these goals, and they're not. And now they're offended because this person wants
Everything you
things
do is
that
spin.
they don't want. So now they trying to tear them down because what happens is when you see somebody striving for something and working hard and they got it out the mud and you're not living up to your full potential, it shines a light on you not doing what you should be doing or what you could be doing. And people get offended. Like it agitates their insecurities or it agitates the fact that they've settled in life and now they're pissed off. They ain't really mad with you, they mad with them. And
Right.
so because they don't see themselves further than where they are, and they don't feel like they can rise or pull themselves up out of that situation, let me tear you down. Let me bring you back down to earth because you don't need all that. Why you need all that? Oh my God, what? I may not need it, but I want it. And if it's available to me and I want to have, I'm going to get it because I may be able to give it to somebody who does need it. But that's not your call to make. And we see that a lot from men and from women. They'll get with somebody who is driven, ambitious, successful, and all that stuff, and they weren't able to realize their dreams or they gave up on their dreams for whatever reason. But now they get with this person and they could talk a good game. Like they could talk a real good game. But like you said, Corey, behavior. The person who's driven starts to see, oh, you all talk.
So even when you are or you came up in a certain condition, right? It's like it's not actually what happened to us, it's how you respond to it. How do you respond to it? Whatever adverse situation it is, how do you respond to it? So if you are on Section 8 or you are, living with someone else, a roommate or whatever it may be, how do you respond to it? it's not the actual situation we should focus on, because if you focus on a condition, like you're gonna always be in that you're gonna stay in that condition. Change is internal. It's not external. You got to do it from the inside out in order to change. Because if you focus on your actual condition, you're gonna stay in that condition, right? And you have to understand, like, no external factor can make you happy or change your inner personal. You know,
Yep, that's
it's
true.
nothing about that.
That's
So
true.
the change comes from inside out. You have to be willing to change.
Outwardly, you may have to take steps back to move forward. And everybody may be looking at you thinking, man, Quincy used to do this or Quincy used to do that, but now he's not doing any of that anymore, because outwardly it needs to look a certain way. But inwardly, my mindset is on a whole nother level. And it's almost, to me, it's like a butterfly at that point. You are inside of this cocoon. And when you have this time to incubate, what are you going to do at that time? Are you really sharpening yourself? Yeah.
How you gonna respond?
Right.
Well, of course, you know my situation. How many times
Yeah.
I had to start over? How many times I lived with just about everybody in my family, and I had degrees and all kinds of stuff, but I never let.
How did you respond? It's all how you respond to it.
Right.
And on the outside looking in, nobody knew. You couldn't tell what I was going through.
Because you're not your circumstances.
Exactly.
Correct.
No.
And it takes a certain type of person. Those are like proactive people.
And that's what she was looking for. That was her point. Like, there's a certain spirit that exists with this person. There's a certain quality that's going to be within the individual that has that's going to connect on that level. This is spiritual. Like, you got to have a certain kind of spirit that be ambitious.
Yes.
To wake up every day and say, regardless of my situation, regardless of my circumstances, I'm going every day. Even the days that you listen. And to be honest, there are days that you don't feel like it. There are days we don't feel our best, and you may not be able to do your best this day, but you got to at least be ready to go again if we blessed to see another one. Man, you have to understand it's definitely a marathon.
Because you know me, right? You know I have 2 night and day careers. Right. Like, what I do on the weekend, you wouldn't even believe it. Like, okay. But I'm just driven to get to a certain point. I believe you have to create your own lifestyle. And not only that, you have to look out for the future also. We all have kids or even grandkids. So we have to look out for them. So I try to make sure I create. I'm not waiting around for anything. So if I deal with a person, they have to be on the same tier as me. We all have the ability to choose. So
I didn't agree with Iyanla's response, telling her no, like saying that she was wrong, because it has nothing. No job, just because you're a millionaire doesn't mean you're a good person.
Right.
Like that, like the job, it's not the job, like you said, Quincy, it's the spirit. Like, what are you wanting to do? Like, if that's fulfilling to you, great. I'm happy for you. Everybody should do what they love. Like, everybody should do what they love, right? And if
even her response outside of that interview, she was saying, like, it's like a small dab of like white supremacy to settle.
Yes, it is.
My attitude is, who said I can't have that? Who said I can't have that house? Who said I can't drive that? Who said that?
Right.
If they have it, I can have it. That's just my mentality.
What you made me just think of, Corey, is when we like you acting white. When they'll say that to somebody that's working to do things, even if you live in a certain place or you live in somewhere a certain way, you think you white. Just because I live a certain lifestyle and I have certain expectations.
That's because they let their condition dictate their behavior. Like when you say somebody is ghetto, you can actually be actually a product of your environment. You let that become your behavior.
If you choose to.
But you can't be the golden egg in the hood or whatever. It don't necessarily have to be your who you are as a person. That don't mean you ghetto because you live in the hood.
Right.
You can have you be just about to finish your degree and whatever it may be. So you can't let your condition dictate your behavior.
Right.
So what I find astonishing is why is there not a whole conversation about the young white girls who are sent to these prestigious universities to find husbands?
Mm.
When they are taught, you go to school, you get your degree, but make sure you come out of there with a husband. And they're not settling for, they're looking for, they go into the pharmacy school and to the law school and to the engineering department and to the MBA, to the business department. Like, why is that? Why ain't nobody saying nothing about that? They ain't in the PE. They not in the education department looking for the dudes who finna be PE teachers.
Our Indian friends do the same thing as a culture.
Right.
I think it is a legitimate point that it may be a hint of racism tied to this, simply because who else is settling?
Right.
Who else is saying let's settle?
So the minute a black woman says, "Yeah, I'll date a bus driver if he's working to own the bus company," now it's a problem.
Right.
And you know how we was talking the other day?
And she's a woman of means saying this. She's not somebody who doesn't have anything. She's not somebody looking for somebody to take. Like, she's already built her career. She's doing her thing. But y'all dragging her. And I love how she did come back and respond. Like you said, it is that hint of white supremacy. But we're not talking about just some regular, schmegular female.
It was like me and Q had a conversation, and we was just talking about like how much a pallet made. And we were like about a 200,000. But who said that's the standard? Did millionaires or multimillionaires say that's the standard for average people? 200,000? Because to me, that's no money. Oh, you have a good life because you make 200,000. No, you're not gonna starve, but who said I can't be this millionaire just like you? We have a late start, but still, it's no ceiling.
Right.
I'm just tired of black women being penalized for wanting more and for expecting or wanting a partner who can match that or even take them beyond. You know, like, why? Right. Why is that? Why is it wrong for us to want that?
There are men out here that totally understand this situation. There are men that, even in this, there are men that can really sit her down.
Right.
You understand? They have not connected, but there's a man that can come along and treat her with the respect that she deserves and sit her down.
Correct.
You understand?
That actually makes less than she makes.
Yeah. Because he's able to settle her spirit. They have to connect on that level. They have to connect. They have to connect. Because I'm gonna tell you, when it comes down to it, we all say money matters. It does. It matters to a certain extent, but there are things that are deeper. And if she's able to connect with a man seriously, it's not gonna matter.
I mean, most of the things that exist now, they all vanities.
Yeah.
Your career is a vanity. You know, money.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can take with you. Everything about this life is temporary. So those things are vanities. Yeah. In the end, it means nothing.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't focus on how is this person's spirit.
You're right. Something you can connect to. Maybe I can find you on the other side of this, because there is something. There is something. So yeah, I think people miss that. To me, but it's okay to have ambitions, because even in this physical journey, you want a mate that you're compatible with. You don't want a mate that doesn't understand, hey, I got to get to the studio, or hey, I'm working on this book, or hey, I'm going to the gym, or whatever the case may be.
Both of us.
Right. Yeah.
I think it stems back to what we said, the basis of what we said. When you look at it from a societal view, we assume what the mindset of people, we assume to know what the mindset is of a person who works a certain job. In order to get in certain careers, you know, that's not easy. You had to go to school, you had to work, you had to do your trade, like you had to put some effort into it. And there are some occupations that we feel like societally ain't taking much effort, right? But it all goes back to mindset. Now, money ain't everything, but love ain't enough to sustain a relationship.
True.
Now, you can be all in love. Y'all can have all the love in the world. That is not going to be enough to sustain a relationship.
Man,
And
my car
money,
don't run off friendship.
right?
So I get it.
Exactly. So, and money is not everything, but you need it to survive.
Right.
And
Right.
don't nobody want to be with somebody and y'all struggling. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
I think my only point was to her, like she may have in her mind, oh, he needs to make, let's say $5 million a year. But
I
she
don't
made
even think it was
me
an actual
command.
amount.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying, no, I'm just saying for the
Right.
sake of this conversation, that may be what she has in her mind. I don't know what the woman has in her mind. But let's say that's what she has in her mind. I'm saying this woman can connect with a man. I don't know that she can connect with a man that makes 50 grand a year. Like, I don't see how that would occur. Can it? Yeah, it can. But
right.
how? You know, I've seen Cinderella too and all of these movies too. But does that really happen? I've seen Pretty Woman. Does that happen in reverse? I don't know. Maybe.
Men, we
Right.
look at a pretty face and like, oh yeah, I can bring her up. But some people you can't bring with you.
Right.
Athletes do that.
Yeah. And those be the ones in child support, divorce court, and all
Right.
those things, based on the way she look instead of what she can add to you. You know.
Yeah.
I just think that we don't have the right to tell somebody what their preference should or shouldn't be.
No.
You can't say, we don't have the right to, we just don't have the right to do that. Like, you don't have the right to tell me what kind of qualities I should look for in a man or what my expectations should be in terms of, you can't come up in here and take me out of what I got going on and my quality of life is going to diminish. Right.
That's like people that I've said, somebody's saying someone has too much house. This is too much house.
Yes.
For you,
Right.
there's no such thing.
I had someone tell me, I said I wanted to be, I needed to be a multimillionaire. I need to be a multimillionaire. That's too, you don't nobody need multi-millions. Speak for yourself.
What are you gonna do with all that money? What are you gonna do with all that money?
You can't spend it all. Who said who said I was gonna spend it all? It can be spent.
But that's not my ambition.
It's not your necessarily your center, you know.
Right.
No, it's not.
Center.
It's exactly. But to say, okay, there are certain things I want to be able to do that I need a certain amount of money to do it. I never said that all the things I want to do are for me.
Even from a religious standpoint, people kind of look at a person a certain way with rich people, basically. They look at rich people, but even from a religious standpoint, God blesses whoever he wants. And it's not a limit. It's not an amount that your blessings, he's going to give you that blessing. You're evil or a bad person because this is the amount of money you have. And you shouldn't have it because it's too much. And there are people, who said it? This is how God blessed you, So everybody may not understand your blessing.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of Black women getting crucified for having expectations and for having standards for themselves and the people in their lives, in particular, the men that they want to have lives, like build a future with. Like, why is it so hard to accept the fact that we as Black moms, single mom, no kids, it don't matter what your age is, a Black woman having standards seems to be a problem. A Black woman having expectations seems to be a problem.
I don't think that's a problem. I don't think, again, you're not connecting with me. Yolanda, me and you talk all the time.
Yeah.
It's not a problem for me.
No, it's not. But you not, I'm talking about society.
In mass. But the thing about it is the people that I connect to, maybe this isn't even the reality. Maybe it's something that's just being put out there, because I'm saying to you, the guys that I know, like my friends, it's not how we see it. Unless they are saying things to me that are not true, it's not how we see it. Again, I'm one person with my subset of friends. So it's not like I speak for all Black men or all men, but there are men out here that understand selling is not an option.
I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree. I don't mean to generalize. I'm not saying, when I say you, I mean just society. When you go scrolling on YouTube and you hear any kind of podcast talking about women, it's always some dude talking about how dare a single mom think that she should, like have standards or expectations.
Right.
How dare a woman over 40 think that she could get a man of means or a certain kind, or a man at all? I mean, and God forbid if you 50, Jesus, Lord have mercy.
I think a lot of what gets out, it's a lot of just mess, to be honest with you. But you will hear certain people will think they deserve the Cinderella story. They deserve it, right? You'll have women that feel like for some strange reason they deserve a six-figure brother, and they working at McDonald's. That's their ambition. Their ambition is the bus driver, right? And she deserved this six-figure brother. How dare anybody say I don't deserve a six-figure brother and be dismissing brothers on her level and thinking she deserves a six-figure brother? There is a reality out here that not everybody's going to be a pretty woman. Absolutely. Everybody doesn't get that. So I think in mass, you'll have a lot of people disillusioned thinking they deserve the cream of the crop when they're not that.
Now, I absolutely believe that you can't ask for something that you yourself can't produce, like right. to a certain level.
Right.
Like I can't say, okay, I want me somebody that's educated. I want this, that, and the third, and I can't read. Like that's, that's a problem. Like, let's not be delusional. I ain't talking about being delusional. Like, I'm not talking about that. But yeah. I am saying, let's just like, when I was a coach, I couldn't ask my players to do something that I hadn't done when I was a player. It would be insane of me because I wouldn't understand what they would be going through when they said, "Oh, I'm tired," or "Oh, I'm hurting." I would push them to points beyond their limit or beyond what they were actually capable of doing because I had no point of reference. And
you have to know that, though. But the thing about it, Yolanda, to your point,
mental.
You have to know that. But see, that's the same thing that I think she's saying. A person that she's wanting is going to know the ambition.
Right.
You're gonna know. Right. You're gonna have that. And so, if we can't connect on that, then we can't really connect.
When you're running, say, for instance, you're running, right? You say, "I'm gonna run to this sign, and then I'm gonna stop and start walking." That's similar to what she's saying. You already told yourself that's as far as I can go.
Right.
I can go to the sign, but mentally, you have to no, that's not my stop. I'm gonna keep past that sign. You have to condition your mind also to further yourself.
The guy who passed away, the one that used to be ripping women a whole new Samuels. Yeah. Some of the points he made were very valid. When I go to work out, right? Like if I hire a trainer, I want somebody that's got the body that I want. I don't want somebody that got the body I'm trying to get rid of. Like I don't want that. So it's not, unless I am working towards that. It's crazy for me to say, okay, I want my man to come here. I want him to be fit. I want him to have a six-pack. I want him to do this. I want him to be vegan. I want him to eat healthy. I want him to have good skin. Meanwhile, I'm at McDonald's trying to get, or I'm at Wendy's getting me 2 5-for-5s just for me. Nobody else. I'm eating both of them.
Like some of my friends, like they all want 10s. They want a model. But I'm like,
you a 3.
Yourself.
You
look at yourself. You can't, everybody's not gonna get a model.
Right.
You look at yourself like you're not even a model.
Thank you. Exactly. I don't agree with his. I don't agree. I didn't agree with his approach all the time, but some of
it was his delivery.
Yeah, like
sometimes I think most of the stuff he was saying was something that needed to be said. But on the other hand, I felt like sometimes his delivery was wrong.
I mean, you do have to have realistic expectations. And a lot of people just don't have realistic expectations. They want what they are not.
Right. And it's true that you attract what you are.
Right.
Like you attract what you are. And so people, they tell women to write out a list of what you want, like in a man, all these different characteristics and qualities and things like that. If you're not what's on your list, you're not going to pull that. Like, you're not going to attract that. You got to become a woman who can manage her money. You got to have a woman. You got to be a woman with good credit. You got to be a woman who is emotionally mature. You got to be a woman who, if you can't keep your word to yourself, then you're going to probably attract somebody that ain't going to keep their word to you. Like, right. That's just what it is. And like you said, Q, we have got to be honest with ourselves and really, it's, again, I'll take it back to sports. Everybody want to be major D1. Everybody want to go major D1. Everybody ain't major D1 material. Everybody ain't built like that. But you don't really find out until you get in D1 and you understand what the expectation is. You ain't got no Christmas or no Thanksgiving.
Right.
You ain't got no spring break if you want a good team. So you can't say, oh, I want to go to college and have a college experience and be a D1 athlete at a Power 5 school. You got to make a choice.
Right.
So it's the same way when we talk about the things that we want or the kind of people that we want. You can't say you want someone who is driven and successful and enterprising, but you're not driven, you're not successful, and you're not enterprising, because you're not going to understand when they say, look, we cannot take a vacation for 2 years. You're not going to understand that. Mm-hmm. But if you yourself are enterprising and driven, you're going to understand, okay, we're going to sacrifice now for what we want later, for the life we want later. So,
like, I am hustling to get to a certain point. I'm proactive. I'm going to create the lifestyle that I want. I've used the weekends to create the lifestyle that I desire. I'm not sitting at home regretting, like, oh, I hate this job. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make the life that I want. And I go through that now. I have people around me that don't understand that, like, our time is limited. We can't hang out every weekend. We can't. I'm sorry. We can't hang out every day in the week, because this is what I'm on, and I'm not going to change. You know me. You know when I sit my mind, I'm straightforward. Like, I'm not changing. If you got to jump off the porch, then go. I'm sorry. Okay. But this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to stop until I finish.
Right. And you got to have somebody that it's nothing wrong with design somebody that can understand and match that energy.
Because they'll be able to better support you, because they understand where you are, what you're trying to do. And so, you know what?
Everybody don't have the same drive. They just don't, like, they don't know how, like, I'm not playing no video games. I'm not going out to eat. Like, it's discipline. Right. You have to have discipline.
The D word.
I'm not doing all this stuff. What? I'm not watching TV because I need to sleep. Because I got to get up. I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep, so I got to hustle. So I don't have time for those. I meal prep, because when it's time for me to go, I need to grab my food and go. It's all discipline. And people don't have the same discipline as I do, and they have those things like, oh, why you not spending time? And you must be doing this, you must be doing that. Baby, it's discipline. And I understand that you don't have the same imagination as I have. So you wouldn't understand.
It should be a conversation up front, but too many times we go in these relationships, people go in relationships, and you don't meet the real them. They trying to put on airs, they're trying to put on front because they want to impress you. And a lot of
times it's easy to recognize.
Say that again.
I think it's easy to recognize.
You watch them.
Authentic. You know what's authentic and what's not.
You watch.
We're too old to see or not be able to see through that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think.
But you got to pay attention, though. You got to be paying attention. A lot of time, people getting caught up in the he got money or this or that. Right. And you're not really looking at, does she really follow through? Does he really do what he say?
Right.
Say what he means. Like, oh, you not this. Oh, I was gonna do that. Lie. You start seeing these things, but you excusing that behavior. But these things are ways to be able to key in on the type of person you're dealing with.
Right.
So
it's that we have to approach any kind of relationship, not just intimate relationships, but friendships and partnerships. Right. You have to approach it from not from an emotional space, but from like literally, like you said, like evaluating behaviors. Like, even how do I feel about myself when I'm with this person.
There's got to be commonality, right? So we got to have the same center. Even when you're talking about center, like what is, you have to find out even with that person, is it a relationship or a friendship? You know, do we have the same center? Because I think we try to go in and find a balance. When we come from different places, we have different experience, so we never gonna have the same balance. So you have to like, okay, this person here is career center. Okay, I like that in that person, or they are religious center. You know, yeah, we can get along. But then you have those like those negative centers that you know you can't deal with. Like, is this person self-centered? That's probably the most common one. You know, are they self-centered? Like, you know, you can't deal with that person. You know,
Right.
are they entertainment center? Like, what is that center? Because balance is never going to work because we're two different people.
True. But I also think that you have to have a level of awareness about yourself.
Correct. That's
To
where
know
it's coming
what-
from. You
what
have to have
you-
a endowed awareness.
Right. So
Self-awareness.
you'll know what you can or what you want and what you don't want, what you
How-
will and what you won't tolerate. And because we go in a lot of times blinded or from a point of desperation, I just want to be with somebody so bad.
And I think, from my perspective, I think that's the problem with women.
Yes.
I don't think they choose a man who has an endowed personal understanding of themselves.
I agree.
I think they dive into it, and that man don't even know himself.
I agree.
So how you have these expectations, you actually planning to fail.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
you just
agree.
see the outward appearance. It's an outward appearance you've been attracted to, and things look
You
like
have endowed
anything.
self-awareness.
Yeah.
Have to.
I
Yeah.
think women, we do need to do a better job of taking a step back when we first meet someone to examine behaviors and examine patterns and not listen to what they say, because I'm a big stickler on like time. Like, if you tell me we're gonna start at 3:00, I'm there at 2:45. Like, and I don't expect you to be there at 2:45, but I do expect us to start at 3:00 because that's what you said. Like, if you tell me you're gonna call me back, I expect you to call me back. And if something
Right.
comes up, at least text me or let me know. Like, I'm big on communication. Like, those things to me, it may be something really, really small, but I'm a firm believer that how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're constantly 2 to 3 minutes late, or if you constantly, oh, I'm gonna call you back and you don't, or it's I'm gonna call you back in 10 minutes and it's 2 days, I'm probably not gonna answer the phone.
That's what I just told you. Like, you have to choose a person over their patterns over their potential.
Exactly. But again, in agreement with you,
I'm judging you on your patterns.
with women, we don't give enough time to
Correct.
examine patterns, because we lead with our heart and we lead with our emotion and we lead with what we want. Sometimes when women we meet men, we done already put our first name and their last name together, and you don't even know if he's a serial killer or not. You don't even know if he like girls or not. Like, you don't know like, you just don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So it's us, because at the end of the day, people do what you allow them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know once a person is showing you who they are and you don't like who they are, but you still allow them to take up space in your life, in the back of your mind, subconsciously thinking or hoping that they're going to change, then that's on you.
Right.
That ain't on that other person. That's on you.
Right.
Because when they show you the red flags and the purple hearts and the yellow stars and the green clover, all the lucky charms,
Believe them.
yeah, believe them.
Believe them.
It's different when you're giving your perspective from your experience, because everybody has their perspective and everybody had based on their experience. But when you're putting it out there, generalizing as this is how it should be, hey man, don't date a woman that's got a career. Don't date a woman that's
Everything
got
generalized, that's a problem.
yeah, like that. That's what I
There's
dislike.
always
I disagree with the women who say, oh, well, I don't need a man. I need a man, guy, and I want one.
Exactly.
It ain't.
That's because they don't have any morals. I think a woman who says they don't have any morals.
Somebody who
Right.
says that has been is scarred for life.
Right.
Right.
You just feel sorry, like, baby, you need a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like,
Scarred
who
for
want to be
life.
alone? Who?
Right.
I want to share everything with somebody. Everything. My ups, my downs, like I need to share.
And she told me they don't need one if for nothing else but to cut the grass and put gas in the car. Take the
See,
boy
now,
to the barber shop. Like, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
I want somebody around.
you might go viral with that. Like, wait a minute. What?
And then I'll be mad if y'all say, well, if she ain't doing nothing else, at least cook. Like, don't.
Yeah. Kitchen in the bedroom, Florida. Kitchen in the
kitchen
bedroom.
in the bedroom. I watched that episode yesterday. Oh my God. Don't say it, James. Don't say it. The kitchen in the bedroom, Florida. Nah, but I think it's a lot of people out here that's hurt. And they haven't taken the time to do the work on the inside of them, because when you deal with trauma and when you're trying to heal, you can't point the finger at somebody else. It all boils down to you. And that's the work that we don't want to do. We don't want to face ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what? Me personally, because I've done it, I think us as a black people, we need therapy. We need a therapist. We need therapy. We have been through so much trauma that we actually, you'll learn about yourself.
Yeah.
You'll learn so much about yourself that you did not know. Because I was telling Cuba, you know, because he done been himself, because it's going to give you tools that you need to better yourself. Because when I went, I was shocked, like, oh, I do that. And I try to justify my reasoning for that, which was wrong. I needed to know it was wrong. So I believe, like,
no, you needed to hear somebody new tell you it was wrong.
Well, you know, people have to mature to being able to hold themselves accountable. We talking about self-accountability at this point. Like, you have to really look at yourself, and it's, again, you have to check that behavior in somebody. You got to really be exhibiting that. That's just like raising children. You telling them you want them to be things that you showing them you not.
Right.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's a very good point, man. I mean, you know, people just, I don't know, that they're not holding themselves to the standards that they want or desire or expect. You know, and you really have to mature to doing that. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
And therapy does help with that. Therapy is really like the thing that can get you there.
I recommend it for everybody.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed the show, hit the like button. To catch up on the latest and greatest, subscribe.